Hello everybody, welcome back. Today we'll be finishing up I think it's the Evasaur assassin? Yeah, he's the killy guy. And then after that, we will be working on this guy, the Dragon Tyrant from Kingdom Death. But first of all, this is my first stream since I became an affiliate. Thank you all for watching and thank you for the support. So, what was it again? Okay, I'll be making emotes soon, and I will also be doing private tutoring for people who subscribe to my highest level, if anybody's interested in that. Okay. Alright. So this guy now, this Evasaur, I'm just going to be working on the reds today. So it shouldn't take that long. So I guess it's going to be like, what? Liquid? It's a needler thing, so there, and then a little bit on the back. This will be like a light bulb, and then skulls. This is going to be a shiny kind of skull. Alright, so I'm going to be using some red base. Never mind. Gotta mix it more. It has a habit of just separating. Alright. So, I'm going to use some red highlight. Just for a few things. I'll be using the highlight, it's kind of an orange, just for like the skull part. Because I want it kind of brighter than the rest. However, for the parts like the lights and the fluids, I'll be using a white, so it'll kind of be a little pinkish. Okay, so let's also go for some yellow. Where do I have that? Okay. So, okay. Let's go for a bit of, let's get into view. Let's just adjust this a little bit. There we go. Alright. Actually, let's do a better coat of the red. And then looking him back at him now, and the red on his head's a little spotty. So, just gotta make sure it's a good solid. Okay. So then make sure, because this is like I always make sure the heads are, have a proper base coat and everything, because there's a focal point. So any kind of like mistakes you'll see on that, most people will definitely notice. So try to make sure that's a nice and consistent, solid. All right, what's drying? I'm going to just work on some of the fluid areas, like on this gun. Where'd my white go? Okay. So it's going to be a little pinkish, but that's fine. Because I'm going to try and make it a little darker than the rest. It's going to have like a very high contrast. So the pink will be understated, I guess. Okay, so this is the red base. And I'm just going to make a pink area. And just make sure it's nice and thin. I'm going to kind of just give myself I want to figure out where I want the fluids to go. So this one's going to be let's just make it like a line, like it's been. It's not fully centered, or fully horizontal, just because of the way the momentum is. It's kind of being forced back a bit. And then I'm making the line where the water is hit the water's edge, and then do a little bit of gradient down. So the whole bottom area is going to be lighter. I'll do the same on this side. Not that you're really going to see this part. And then here, I'll kind of make it just some lines here. I have sealed this guy so he's not as shiny, but sometimes the paint doesn't adhere or doesn't like want to. It's kind of like hydrophobic a little bit in some areas until you get the paint to dry properly. So sometimes I just need maybe a little heavy-handed just to get the paint where I want it to be. And this area is going to be a fluid area. Okay. The light will also be use looks pink as well. Okay. Bit thin there, but that's fine. So it's basically like a gem. How I'm going to do that thing. Okay, let's go back to the skull while that's drying. And do an orangey red. And just pick out the things where I want. I'm going to use a red wash afterwards to deepen it. And it'll help keep the orange a little less orangey. But I kind of want the saturation up, so that's why I'm doing the orange instead of, say, a pink. Pink's a lower saturation. Okay. I'm going to pick out the studs as well. He has a skull in the center of his skull. Double skull, I guess you might say. I'm just going to make that silver, but I won't be doing that. Because it's simply going to be like a silver with a black wash over it. Okay, let's pick out his nose. And then his teeth. It kind of would be weird if he gave like white teeth, so I'm just going to keep it red. Like a dentures or something. I don't think you want that. Okay. I might want to use a better brush, but it's fine. Teeth are picked out a bit. Okay. Now let's do some straight orange. And just pick out the higher areas. More extreme highlights, basically. Just the edges of things. Give him a little bit of a cleft chin. Pick up those brows. The bottom part of his nosy nose. A little under cheek, just a little bit of his cheek, not all of it. And then the topmost part of his little edge on his skull. And then I'm just gonna blend it more in there. And I'll pick up more of his of that part, the little spikes. Okay, I'm gonna go actually use a better brush for the teeth on this part. I don't want to overpaint on that part with this highlight. I'm just gonna blend in the oranges a little bit more. Very thin overpaint. And then same here, just in the very, it's more of like reflecting light. There we go. Alright, so let's get it's the same brush size I'm going to use, but this one's got a little bit of hook to it, and it's kind of blunter because it's got more pigment kind of attached to the bristles, so this one's not quite like that yet. So straight Kato red highlight, which is, well, orange. And then just pick out some of the top teeth. I might make his eyes like green or something, but I'll figure that out afterwards. Make sure I get a nice thin paint. Okay, so just a little bit. And a little happy little smile there. He's a one happy dude. Alright. And then I might go and just my little coat. Just to bring it up a bit. Just very thin, just to blend some things together. Alright, now clean it off. I'm gonna take a little bit of that yellow, sulfuric yellow, and then just do a few touches with this. And this is like the actual like straight up reflection from the sun kind of deal. So I'm not gonna really blend it that much. I'm just gonna give it like little dots, little stripes. I might need a little more yellow. Okay. The underside here. Top part in that bottom cleft. And then just a little bit of that chin. And just a few little teethies. Just the few that would catch light the most. There we go. Alright, let's work on this top part here. Got a bit of chalkiness to it, which we'll just get rid of with a red wash. And very thin, just to see if I can kind of blend this in. There we go. I might have gone a little bit overboard on the yellow, just a bit, so I'm going to go back with that a very thin coat of the orange and just tone down some areas, like the more bottom areas. So I'll just bring that yellow bit down, but still retain some of that brightness that the yellow left. Okay. So I'm going to take a red ink. This is perfect to press paints. And I think I'm going to take, whatever, I think it's called Cossite Flesh. I have it around here somewhere. Here we go. It's more of a saturated reddish brown, so I just want to keep that, the red hues in there. It'll darken it and desaturate a little bit. So just add a bit of red to that. It's also a good way of making like flesh, or blood, sorry. If you want to have a if you want darker or lighter red, you can make your own with brown washes and red. Like deep wounds, I want like dark brownish red. Okay. I'm going to mix in medium so I get the proper consistency. And then just tiny amounts. You don't want too much. Maybe a little more mixed medium on some parts. And a little bit on here, just to help with the chalkiness a bit, and also help with the studs. Maybe a little bit on the cleft chin. Just kind of follow in the contours of the skull itself. to exaggerate some parts, like the brow regions and stuff. It also helps tone down some of that yellow if I want it to. There we go. I think I might darken the bottom part a bit more, but I can't do that right now while it's drying. So let's go back to the fluid areas. And after that, I'll basically be done this guy, and we'll go into the Dragon Tyrant. Okay. So I'm just going to take... This is a very pink, almost whitish pink. I'm just going to just define that, the water line, the fluid line, a bit better. Use my good brush for this. And I'm just going to go in very... It doesn't have to be like a solid line either. Just play around. You can also add a little bit of little dots if you want. It's like bubbles or whatever, right? I'm sure it gets bubbles simply because of it's sloshing around. Just defining that line. Yeah, this is the part where it was kind of not mixing properly. So I'll go back and just do a little bit more of a darker pink here. Okay, and then just define where the water is a bit better. Okay, go back to the red. And I'm just going to tone down some of that pinkness towards the bottom. And you can still see it retaining some of that bumps there, the little bubbles I gave it. I didn't do this part properly. I don't really care about this part so much because it's the underside and very rarely it's going to be seen. But there's still no excuse. But hang on. What kind of quality? This is like a mid-tier quality for me, so I'm not too concerned about every single underside part. Okay, let's finish up this part again. So just work on the under the lows part and just darken it a bit. I'm just touching up this part because it's not as blended as I hoped. Okay. Now I'm going to. This is like a well, burgundy kind of color. This is a sanguine base, and here I'm just going to define the edge, so I give like a hard contrast. And just give it like a solid line there, and same on the other side. Okay. Now once you've done defining it, I'm going to go back and blend it up. So then I'm going to add a bit more, just very thin. So you still want to retain some of that original red in there, just because it's a red liquid in there, and the red liquid would still, when light passes through it, it would slosh all the light around.
That's just me getting music working.
Okay, sorry. Reading my chat. And so it would still reflect the red light around, and so it'd still have areas, the whole area would be like a little bit of red light, but not too much. So as you can see there, it still retains a little bit of red on the top part, on the very top. And I'm just going to blend it back in here. And then, depending how small you're going, you can just do the whole thing. Just And I'm just going to define the middle parts here. Looks to be less light there, and so it'd be darker red in the middle parts. And I've red on a red here. Some more sanguine base. I want to retain only a little bit in the very top parts. Okay. Just trying out some music. Let's see if you guys like that, or...
We can't hear you.
Okay, sorry. Apparently it's not available right now. Alright, I'm going to do a little bit of black, just in some parts.
Give you an animation so you have it.
Okay. Because that red might be a little, not too much contrast, so I want to make a little more of a harder border here. And just, it doesn't have to be like super, because I'm not doing like a straight line. I'm kind of giving it little bumps and dots just because it's, the fluid wouldn't really be like, it wouldn't be like a harsh straight line because the fluid would be like all bouncing around. You know how fluid is. It's not really flat all the time, especially when it's sloshing around. If you understand what I'm saying. Okay. Take some of the sanguine and just darken up some of this part right here. Just the most bottom part. The light is getting swallowed up by the liquid. Okay. Go back to this white. Okay. Let's see now. I think that's good for now. I'm just gonna give it a bit of a effect of like light hitting it from the glass outer shell. So I'm gonna do like basically pure white, and just do a streak going along with it. I'll do it in the darker areas. And then I'll just do another one, just like this. Thinner one if I can do it, depending if my brush is cooperating. I need maybe thinner. This represents the light hitting the glass shell, and I'll do a little underline just for like reflections. And then you can do a touch here. I might not do it on these ones right here just because just where they are. Actually, I'll do it on the very top and not all go all the way down. I'll do it on the side. There we go. I'll just do a little bit of one right here. It doesn't get left out. There we go. So it's not left out. So that's okay. Now I'm going to go and use some of that sanguine red base. I'm just going to darken up the skull in some shadowy areas. You don't need a good brush for this one, so I'm just going to use a less fine edge brush. And still want to keep that edge where the light would hit it the most. Right in that, right there. Any kind of hard edge light would probably hit it. Or light would reflect off other things and hit it. There we go. The eardrums I'm just going to leave later. I'll do them not on stream. They're just going to be a silver thing anyway, same with that skull. touch up that red. Let's go for green eyes. This is neckrite green. It's a very bright green. I'm going to take some of that yellow, add a bit of green to it. Actually, no, let's not get there yet. Let's do some, this is Gnarls green. It's a darker green. I'm just going to take it in just a little bit right here. A little bit below. So I'm just doing a very thin layer of it. And I'm going to do another little layer if it's dried. The trick is to make sure it's dry so you don't move it around too much. Okay. Now I'm going to go to that yellow and just dab it on the very bottom if it's dry first, because you want to mix wet yellow and wet dark green. Won't make a nice color. Alright, let's try. Need a bit more yellow on the bottom. I'm going to take some white and add it to the yellow and just give it an extra little. Okay. Those are basically the eyes done. You can go back with like a black and just touch up the borders between the skull and the eyes. Actually, let's take a black wash. All right, I'll do the ears too since I'm doing a black wash. Take some silver. Gotta really shake it. Take some silver. Be sure not to overpaint. I won't worry about the light. I'll do that off stream. It's not much different from the other. Go ahead and skull, right? Okay. I guess while that's drying, I'll take a little bit of that red, a little bit of that orange, and just muddy up some of that steel while I'm waiting for it to dry. This is too, might be too vibrant. Okay, I need some brown. Some bloodstone. And just a little more red. I'm gonna muddy it up. It's representing basically the dust getting in the crevices and stuff. It's very thin, just splashed around. Keep it dried in the crevices areas. Not too much. There we go. Okay, now the steel should be done. So I'm gonna take a black wash and fix all that part. Alright, so this is a Private Press armor wash. So I use my fine brush And let's do the eyes first. And just try and not overpaint. There we go. A bit more on that underside than the top side, just to make it a little darker. And make sure it doesn't pool funny. So I'm just gonna. There we go. And I'm also going to touch up his collar a bit with the black ink, just to help define it. And then I'm also just going to go in the middle of these little tubes. There we go. And just along the edge of here. Okay. And there you go. Good enough for now. So, eyes look they pop much more. I'm actually going to do a little bit of the bottom teeth with the black. Just a little bit. Maybe the nose. Okay, nose is too much. But there we go. So there's, I'm also going to work on that little piece right there. Just give it a little more depth. Okay, oh, whatever. There we go. He's a creepy guy. I'll just have to touch him up off screen, and then I'll post him on my social media, Facebook and Instagram and stuff. Alright. So, next we've got the Dragon Tyrant. This guy. Hopefully it doesn't look too bleached, but it'll be fine once I add some colors in. So, we're going to kind of base him off of the concept art. I'll just change out my palette. So since we're not going to do his base, we'll probably do his base on Tuesday, I think it is. So I'm just basically trying to do the flesh and the cloth area today. This is a higher quality, so it's going to be, I spend a little more time on the flesh and stuff. Because the guy I was just painting before, the assassin, was my intermediate, it was advanced, and this guy's centerpiece quality, which is one of my highest ones. So he wants, okay, let's double check this. So kind of yellowish skin tone with, or wait, more of a bronzy yellow with a bit of red on the, like a red down the center of his chest. Because he's like a big human that kind of transforms into his dragon, from what I think I know. I haven't actually got to him yet in the game. But yeah, he's a creepy dude. So he's basically going to have like a red robe with black trim and gold trim as well. And his whole halo part's going to be gold. Okay, so let's go for more of a yellowy bronze flesh. Okay, get my flesh colors out. And I like to use, this is Menoth White base to help add some yellow to flesh. It really makes it more natural, I gotta say. Because a lot of fun, too many like flesh colors are just too saturated and too like warm and red. And yellow kind of helps cool it down. Okay. So, let's get back to this. Okay, so we'll do all the flesh in one go. And just double check his face. He's got a golden crown, but that's fine. Okay, so Let's start with a dark flesh, and I'll start bringing it up. This is Cardic flesh, I think it is. A little too dark for my white base coat, but it'll be fine. So I'm going to use Cardic flesh, Midland flesh, and then my highlights flesh color is going to be Caspian flesh, I think it's called. It's like a pink, very pale pink color. And then I'm going to start using my Mammoth white base, which is a cream color. It's a yellowy cream on those, on like the highlights. To give it some more yellow. This will help give it a bronze kind of look. This brownish base coat. This Cardic flesh. All right. Little cape back there, which is no flesh. Oh yeah, he's got sandals. Right. I give him open-toed sandals because you can see his little toesies. And got another foot underneath his dress. I'll just leave that. Probably leave it flesh color for now and not really worry about it. I might give it a wash afterwards, but a base coat of flesh is fine. Alright. He's also got, yeah, he's got a little choker on his like that, so I'll just leave that not flesh for now. Let it dry for a second or two. I'm just exploring and see if there are any other places where there's flesh, which I may have missed. Because the chest definitely needs another coat. Okay. Just make sure it's not so spotty. Doing a thin coat. Alright. It's gonna be annoying to paint underneath that guy's hand, but I'll see what I can do. It's not gonna be that bad because it's gonna be shadowed there because the hand's gonna block some of the light. So I don't have to bring it up that high, not to highlight it that much, but I also need to do some little bit of detail there. Especially since he wants a reddish glow coming from his chest. Like a red power emanating from his chest, right? I think it's the dragon has like a crystal coming out of it. So I think he's got the crystal in his chest as well, his human form. Okay. Good enough. Now we're going to do Midland flesh here. And I'm going to use a brush with a little better tip. Not a great tip, but good enough. Midland flesh is, well, middle of the pack. It's a little pinker, a little lighter, not saturated. I'm just going to start going to town on the highlights. And then try and work your way up. So, oh, sorry. Okay. Just basically defining all that anatomy. It's a little too thin. Let's see if I can thicken it up. And so what I like to do is start in the bottom and brush up, because the higher parts is where you want the paint to pool. So where brush is the last place it touches is where it pools the most. If you have it thin, which is kind of what you want. Okay. These things are super delicate, so I'd be very careful of those. I hate to break one on camera. I'm not gonna worry about the detail on his head right now. I'm gonna get the block in the where the light would be. I'll probably use a wash to separate the details on his head. And then block it out with like a black or a dark brown. Okay, I'm gonna do a little bit of like a kind of like a dry brush a little bit on the hands, just to make the tendons on his hand pop out just a little. Can't forget his little toesies. Just gonna pick out each individual toe. He only has 4 toes. There's that one little ab I'm missing. It's hard to get to in his, under his finger. Okay. I did a little bit of a quick little dry brush, and I'm gonna pick out some of that anatomy now. He's got some really long fingernails. Okay. Now I'm going to do some of this Caspian. I'm going to mix it with a bit of that Menoth white base. Because it's too pink, I want more of a yellow. So let's do a small part and see if it's the right kind of. I think it's looking okay. Might be a little thin. Slowly wandering off screen. Okay. And just defines more of the anatomy. A little too thin. Gotta get the right consistency. My brush has a little bit of a hook to it, so I'm just trying to get the right angle too. Because your brow is a little protruding for most people, so it hits the light a bit more. Because there's a bit of a ledge, so that's why you kind of always want to highlight that brow. Same with the under cheeks. This cheek will have less of a highlight on it, but that's fine. Especially the base of the nose. If it goes in a bit, it's brighter than the rest. And also nostrils, since they have a little bit of ledge there. The light catches that. Less so on that side, because that's the underside, kind of. But on this side, just the way his head is cocked. No, I'm just curious. I want to give this guy some stubble. I don't know how regal that's going to be if I give him like some 5 o'clock shadow. I guess he's got alopecia or something, so if he's got no hair on his head or his chest, he probably doesn't have hair on his face. So let's just keep with the theme. Just picking all those knuckles. I got that top chrome dome. So this is a part, parts like this, you might want to stipple it, because your skin isn't completely smooth. So you can exaggerate some the bumps, like goosebumps or stuff like that, on some areas where it's a little lacking in detail. But I'll just wait till that part's dry before I start some stippling. All right, this chest here needs a bit more highlight. I'm just doing a very thin coat just to bring up some areas. Not a hard edge, just a soft. Just to blend it all together. Because the muscles wouldn't be that hard. Wouldn't be that much of a definition in some areas. Like here, sure, it's because it's such a harsh angle. It's going straight down. Like right here, it's going straight. So it'd be more of a contrast there, but around here would be less because it's more flat. Let's add some definition in there. I guess he has abs down here too. He's got a very low, I guess his groin's right there, so it's not too low, but a little revealing, this guy. I guess he's not quite human, so he doesn't really care about modesty. And then again, King of Death's got a lot of flesh, so. He's also a king or something like that, so he doesn't really care what commoners think. I really think he's got 4 toes. I can't see his other toe. I guess, well, also, in general, history, kings are very much inbred. So maybe he's just missing toes. Maybe he's got a piggy tail. Don't judge. Okay. Bring up that part right here. Just a little bit. Just because he's a higher detail, or he's higher quality model than my other ones, I'm just going to spend more time on some things. I'm also going to go back with the wash a bit and just bring down some areas. Okay, so then, because your brow is a bit of a hard edge right here, I'm just going to do a bit of a line following that. Same if you crease your brow a bit, a line right there too. I'll look a little better once he's got that detail in his head sorted out, all the little halo or crown he has on. Okay. Just a very thin layer. I'm just gonna bring up some areas where I think it would be a little lighter than it currently is. And I'll darken some areas with a wash. Looks like his knuckles should be not that much of a contrast. Okay, let's get back into the center of the screen. Okay. It's a little bit stippling. Little goosebumps or whatever right there. Here in the chest area, the muscles kind of like radiate out. So they kind of go in the very center and they radiate out. So you get like these little ropey strings. So you can just do little lines coming from center out. And the muscle in the chest kind of go towards the armpit. So the very corner of the armpit right here, the muscle goes from here and it goes all the way to the center here. So basically it has like this, it all bunches up right there. So if you want to, you can add the little ropes and they kind of loop into the corner of the armpit. Okay. Just gonna bring up some areas. Because I'm also gonna do extreme highlights as my next step, which is gonna be the same color. It's the Caspian flesh and the Moro white, Mammoth white, but I'm gonna add some Moro white to it. So it's got the pink, it's got the yellow, and it's got pure white just to bring the whole thing up. Less saturation, but this is just for very small parts. And I'm also just gonna use a very fine brush for this one. So just the tiniest and make it thin as possible. This brush, unfortunately, the tip is a little too thin, so let's find a brush that's got a good tip without being too thin, because it just dries too fast if it's a little too thin. I want to have a decent well of paint. So it looks a little better. There we go, I think that's a lot better. Just picking out some anatomy. Use my saliva as a mixing medium and like a retardant so it slows down. Just a little dot there. Maybe let's paint it on camera. A bit too much there, but I'll try and bring that down. Okay. Not too shabby, and then just do the very tips of the knuckles. And I'm going to go this direction because your creases of your fingers go like this. Because they go around your hand, and then just do little streaks. That's what the folds are like. Just a little bit of texture. And hopefully it doesn't get lost when I do a bit of a wash. The wash is going to be like a very small amount, and just to darken some areas. I'm not. Okay. I'll show what I mean by the wash. Yeah, he has 4 fingers here, but he doesn't have. He only has 4 toes. He should have 5 toes. Oh well. Just do this one nostril right here. And the under part of his eye. On these tiny little brushes, sometimes like the paint will start balling at the tip, so I like to clean it off with my fingernails. And then just add some like a little bit of a crow's feet. That's a little too much crow's feet, but that's fine. Okay, and then the very top, just a little bit. Oh, I forgot this area here. Just a little bit on the central parts of his pecs. And then I'm going to just do a little bit of a line. Oh, Fred his toes. Okay. I'm just going to go back with that Cardic flesh, the darkest flesh I've used right now. I'm going to bring down some areas before I do a wash. Just help define some of the anatomy where I've overpainted a little bit. But since I'm doing a very thin, it'll still retain some of the lightness. So it's not too harsh. Was that really flesh all the way down? Wow. He's a little risque apparently if it's like that's actually flesh. Thanks, Lord Skip. Lord Skip a lot, sorry. Okay. Let's see. I'll just do a little darker right there where the abs meet the rib cage. Okay, I think now is the time for a wash. Just gonna bring that down. Okay, so this is gonna be Caspian wash. It's a little bit yellow. I may have to mix it with my, I think it's Cossite flesh wash. I'm just gonna use this to darken some areas. Yeah, this is too yellow. Let's actually try it first before anything, before I start. Oh yeah, way too yellow for what his current skin tone is. All right, this Cossite is a little reddish brown, so I'm just gonna mix it in. Still retains some like yellow, which is what I want. Let's try. Much better, but a little more red, I think. Just darken some of the areas, but the wash will kind of retain the brightness levels of the stuff underneath it. Also, going to darken up the. No worries. Still want to keep some of that yellow. And darken up this area on his finger, and also right there. Darken the stuff around his wrist. Just using my finger just to rub off some of the parts where the ink is getting in places where I don't want it to be. Let's do his eyes. Too much. Don't want to go too dark on his eyes. Okay. Just a little bit between his fingers. And the underside of his fingers too. There we go. Make sure it doesn't pull too much. Rub off the stuff it doesn't. We don't want it to be. Just doing that thin coat over the... Oops, one off screen, sorry. Just because the ribs are kind of like going down, angle down, so it'll be less, not as bright there. So I'm just gonna add my wash just to show it, but it'll still kind of retain some of that. The values I've put in there already. I'm just gonna do a wash over this anatomy or this detail here, because he's got like this some like gold trim around his chest. Just gonna pick that out and give it a brown border, so it's easier for me to do the edging later. No, it might be gold black actually. I'll figure it out once I get to that part. Okay. Just the fold in his abs. I'm just gonna. Just darken this side right here. He's kind of leaning on this side. And he's also got that crown thing I want to try and pick out, so I'll darken it up anyway. More pooliness. Add some more darken right here. Just to give some depth where his hand is kind of overshadowing his belly. And then just gonna pick out the crevices on his fingers. Same with his toes. His poor mutated toes. Alright. Alright, now let's see if I need to clean up anything. I'm probably going to go back with a little bit of this midland flesh. And just in some areas where I want to brighten it back. So here, got a little too yellow. And then here. Oh, this part where the ink kind of went overboard. Just want to give it a little bit of a sheen on this one area, kind of going down that area. Like the pinnacle of the rib. Is it ribs? No, I think it's kind of like finger muscles, or how they look. Interlocking fingers. But they go along your ribs. Since he's too muscular, he doesn't actually show off his ribs. Okay. Get a little too dark right there. I'm just gonna bring it up. And I'm just gonna take this color and just bring back some of those knuckles I may have washed over. That nose might have a little too much. Take some midline again and just bring it down. So it's not such a harsh white. Just basically anywhere where the wash might have been a little too much. Just tidying up everything where I might have not blended it great. Oh, too much. There we go. It's kind of annoying there just because it's got the I think that is like part of like his, it's got some like metal on his head, so it kind of goes down around his cheeks as well. Give him a bit of a cleft chin. I think it's okay. Might be a little too bleached out because of the light settings I currently have. I'm using the midland flesh to go back and just highlight it because the brighter colors are just a little too bright now since I've darkened it with the wash. So it's now basically my highlight for some of these colors, the midland flesh. Just kind of what you want. You don't want to go everywhere to have dark and light, like the maxed out colors, right? You want to go from some areas to have like darkest colors, and some areas to have the darkest color be like your mid-tone in some parts. If you get what that means. Because like this part would be to have the darkest area too, like the lightest area would be like the mid-tone. Around here, the lightest color would be like your lightest color, like your extreme highlight, and then your darkest would be like, not your darkest color, but like your, maybe your cardiac flesh. Still just going back with midland. Middle of the pack, kind of blending the highlights in the shaded areas. Just because it's a higher quality, so I want him to look spiffy, as they say. Okay, let's go with this really bright color and just maybe touch up and add some specks. Give it an extra layer of highlight. Just in the most extreme areas. I think it's okay for now. I'll maybe go back to the flesh once I've done some other things. So now he's got like a red robe. Now I'm just gonna double check. He's got like a red robe everywhere with black trim. So let's see. I'm gonna use Scorn Red base for pretty much the predominant, because it's like a very dark red kind of robe. I'm gonna use a little bit of orange just in some areas. just to pick it out. Okay. So, and use a worse brush just for the base coating. So he's got a bunch of gold trim in there too, which is going to be not so great to pick out. It's going to be very tedious, but that's probably for next stream. Try and get this red done. I might give a bit of a dry brush with the orange to pick out some things. Since it's got so much, is that such a fine detail in the skirt? It might be hard to see, but it's got a very light texture to it. I'm going to try and use washes to bring it out. Hence a little bit of a dry brush to pick it out, and then go back with a wash to give more exaggeration and give it some more. Because the ink will be great for doing shaded areas, and dry brush will be good for doing the highlighted areas. Oh, excuse me. Okay. Alright, let's just see now. Well, slowly go off screen there. Okay. Here we go. Let's see if I can do this. Mark where he should be on the camera. It's writing it on my score in red, so I'm going to get more. Sometimes you can see where I've like scratched off some of the primer, just because the primer, like, it really shows up like where each of you like it wasn't like gap filled properly or imperfections. So I'll try and fix it, and may not always go back and prime it again. Especially if it's in the crevices, I don't really care because it's there you go. Lost track because I got yelled at for going off screen. Let's talk about something, I forget now. Okay. Let's see. So any part where I'm kind of leaving a white, it's going to be black. See if I'll have black and gold trim. Okay, don't want to screw up that flesh. Gotta be careful. Alright. I guess all this trim here is going to be gold right there, and he's got a black collar, so I'm leaving that till later. Okay. Oh, it's a little annoying to get to this part right here. It's got this weird halo thing, which kind of goes over and under his arms, so I don't think I could have put it on afterwards. It'd be really annoying too, otherwise. Alright. I think that's all the red areas. This is going to be black with gold, that's going to be black, that's gold. This is all gold here, so I think I've got all the red. I'm just going to go back over and just make my base coat a little more solid. I'm going to use orange to highlight it. It doesn't get too pink, because this is kind of also like a desaturated red from I'm used to, so it won't look as good if I use a white. So I want to keep the saturation up. So that's why I'm using a saturated orange. Okay. Be very careful not to destroy the detail. It's so minute, it's so fine. Very soft detail on his dress. He's got this weird like vine pattern, so gotta be careful. I'm not gonna use any mix and medium for that. It'll probably start destroying it if I do too many layers. We'll use washes, which are very thin. Alright, so let's do some cat or red highlight, which is orange. Very misleading name, I gotta say. Okay. So where's dry? Yeah, this is dry up here. I'm just gonna add a little bit of red to it. And deepen it a bit so it's not too harsh. A little too thin there. Let's see if I can fix that. I'll go back and fix that. You never do a good job on the first one anyway. It's always best to go back and do a second coat. Alright. Here now, I'm gonna try and do it a little thicker. A little more of like a get paint in my hand, so it gets less paint on it. So it dries out a bit more. And go parallel with it and just try and just go along. Try and get some of that detail and make it pop. I might go along with some more straight orange or a brighter orange and just pick out some of the edges. It's a little too thin, but I don't want it too thick, so make it look chunky. And I'll just start destroying the smoothness and the detail. Okay. Also just doing all the highlights too on like the folds. It's got the leg back there. Okay. Yes. A lot of this like really harsh area right here is in gold, the sharper areas. So I don't really care about that, but oh, a tiny little minute detail. That's the red. Gotta give it some highlighting. I go back, fixing all the shading here. Painting some of the folds too. Radiating out of his armpits. A little bit of fold right here. Okay. And I'm just going to, since this little dry brush, now I'm going to go and just bring up areas where I want it to be lighter. And since the dry brush will bring up some areas, it'll keep the lightness in that area. So it can still retain some of that of your previous dry brush. But as long as you're doing like very thin coats. If you do like a thick coat, you're not going to retain any of that. It's going to obliterate your work. Okay. Getting a little too orange, but that's okay because I'm going to go back with the red. And all the previous shaded colors are going to be also red too. It is looking a little muddy though, but I'll be fixing that soon enough. I'm just trying to start adding the depth to it. Where the light would hit it, where the shadows would be. Maybe obliterating some of the area where I've worked on, but it's fine. There we go, you can start seeing where the shadows would be. And then just raise some areas, brighten it up. Alright, now it's time for the solid orange and pick out some extreme edges. I'll use a better brush for that. So it's just a solid Kato red highlight, which is this orange. Because he's got like a fold right there. God, a lot of this detail is very soft. Okay. Picking out some detail where light would hit it. Make it a little more interesting. And also just highlight some more extreme areas. Just in general. It's a bit too orange, but like I said, I'll go back with the red. And the red ink will also start helping with bring it back to the red state. This part's all here is basically gold, so I'm not going to worry about that detail. Always going to make sure that when you're doing the highlights, it's kind of blended so it's not too harsh. Otherwise, you'll really still, that harshness will really pop up if you don't blend it. You're doing washes. So you can't be lazy, really. Just gotta do either very small, minute highlights, or do a big one, blend it. Otherwise, it's going to stand like a sore thumb. When you use the washes, it's harder to go back and fix it. So yeah, be careful. So I'm just exaggerating some of this detail. Also adding some detail too where I think the texture should be, but it's not really showing up because it's very soft. So right where his, I guess his calf would be, the light would be hitting that the most. Maybe not down here so much, but right here, it's more harder of an edge. It's more hitting the, more angled towards the sun, you might say. So anything like flat like this, or say, going like this direction, like the light would bounce off the most and hit your eyes, right? One thing like going like parallel like this, it's hard to see with my hand. My hand's huge on the camera. So the light would basically come on like this direction, and then it's going to bounce back that direction. So anything is that's going to be like this is going to go bounce directly into your eye, or if it's more of an angle like this, it's hitting the ground. And so this is like the most this is like a mid-tone, and then it slowly goes into like a highlight, if you get what that is. So it goes from like a highlight because it's reflecting directly into your eye, and it's slowly going to your mid-tone, and then when anything like the undercarriage area, like shadow, like this is the darkest area right here, because it'd be like no light or very little light, because like only light would be hitting this area would be like reflective light. So just something to think about. Wish I could show that better with my hand. It's just the cameras are too zoomed in right now. This reminds me, I'll try and zoom out the camera after I'm done and explain it better. Anyway. I might even go back with some yellow actually and pick out some more extreme areas. Because I don't know how dark I want to make this. Okay. So all these little creases and hard edges, I'm just going to give it a solid orange. Because the creases would make a fold that would be flush with the light to reflect back into your eyes. So it would be one of the more brighter areas, almost. Brightest areas obviously would be like things with reflective surfaces, like shiny. Also depends on what the cloth it is, right? If you want a satin cloth, and you would have some pretty bright areas, like a velvet or something. But like, you know, leather would also have like the sheen, right? Because it's shiny. Unless you're doing suede, it's a little different. All right. You can kind of see where I picked out some of the detail. I mean, it's nothing fancy, but it's good enough. Okay, let's go and do some yellow. Just in the most extreme folds. It won't be straight yellow. It's going to be sulfuric yellow with a little bit of cut of red highlight. And let's just give it a little bit of pop. So my brush tip had a little ball of dried paint at the end. I'm going to fix that. Use my nails to remove that. Alright, so let's see now. This is the yellow and orange. Just in the folds would be the brightest. I'm just picking it out. Not everywhere, just some areas. Okay, before I forget, I'm just going to do this parts here too. Okay. Just exaggerating some of these bumps. Let's make it more interesting. Okay. Just along the calf area, I'm just giving it a bit of exaggeration. Blend it a bit. Okay, I think that's okay. Oh, almost forgot about the folds here. Okay, so now I'm just going to go back with the base red, so it's a sworn red, and bring back some of the red saturation. But it's going to be super... Okay, I'm also going to remove this first. Get a new palette. It's going to be super thin. So I don't want to overpower the orange too much, but I still want it to be the main hue. Is that? No? Oh. There we go. Okay. Oops. I forgot to hold it down. Alright. Take a moderately detailed brush and just very thin, and just some parts where you might have overbrushed. I'll pool a bit, so it's kind of almost like a wash bit, and it's taking out some of that. Kind of blends the red and the orange together a bit in some areas. And then I'm going to go back over the brownish reddish wash. And I'll really exaggerate some of these areas. Alright. It looks much better once you've shaded that orange a bit. I'm really liking how it's turning out now. Some areas I didn't do a good job, I gotta say, like these sleeves I did not give a hoot about. Probably should have done better, but won't be that much of a problem to fix. Okay. Just very thin. Can't forget these. Okay, now time to darken it. So I'm gonna just try straight cat ore or calcite red or calcite flesh wash. It's a brownish red. I might have to add some colors to it, more red or something. But I'll see what it's like first because it's very red to start with. So it may just work by itself. But I'm gonna get the red out just in case, if I can find it. Here we go. I'm probably definitely gonna need the red, but let's try it. Let's try it. I'm gonna recess this. So here. That's almost good. No, I need some red. It's a little too unsaturated. Go a little overboard in this area just because of it's got all the gold filigree stuff here, which I really want to have a nice border too. And this area here is all shaded, so I'm gonna go a little overboard here too. I'm just kind of pooling in the areas so it gives it a little more depth. But you don't want to do too much, because it'll overpower the orange in some areas. Just kind of bringing out some of the crevices in some areas. Be careful not to darken some areas too much. Ink's nice because it retains some of the lightness of the paint underneath it. I'm using a blackish wash in the more recessed areas. Just run my finger over the raised areas, just so it retains the paint, and removes the wash of that area. So it's not too, so it doesn't change it too much. So it's bringing out some of the details a bit. It helps that I've exaggerated some. It's looking less orange, which is good. I didn't want it too orange. I did want a little bit of hue change, but not too much. The red ink, this is definitely helping keep the natural red. I shouldn't really do too much around here, but I'm just adding a bit of red ink around here just to, so it has the same kind of tone as everything else. Okay. Oh, so I make sure it's the same tone as everywhere else. Okay, let's go for a darker now. It's gonna be like a brown to black ink, brown ink, black ink mix. So this is Armor Wash here. I might even just try a black and red actually as initial. So let's keep the saturation. Let's try that. Let's find an area where let's try. That might be too much contrast. Okay, let's do more brown in there. Gotta make sure all that gold trim's got a nice hard border to it. Okay. Just going into the shadowed areas, the folds are, darkening them, deepening them. Still retaining this saturation because of the ink. I don't want to pool too much because it gets really chunky. Big blocks of it, which is not what we want, so we have to do thin layers. That's why I'm being cautious, kind of slow. Give the gold trim nice border, so when I go back and do a gold on it, it's going to be much easier to define. You want to give it a darker border than Just gold and red. Because you want to give it a little bit of depth, right? So that's why you give it a darker edge, darker border. Put a little too much red there. Too dark. My brush has got way too much ink on it, I gotta say. It's gone all the way to the base. I don't want that. It'll ruin the whole brush itself. Because the pigment will start drying in the base and start splaying the tip. Oh yeah, it's got a lot of pigment there. I have to wash it good with some shampoo or soap. Okay. Excuse me. This method is not really great for this because it's so flush and flat. There's no detail there, which is what the ink's meant to bring out. So I'm just going to go back over with like a dark red. Yeah, I think that's decent. It's unfortunately a little shiny as what inks do, so it's harder to see on the camera with the lights being that close. But alright, so just take some Femar black and my Scorn red, just darken it. Pretty much the same color. Not much of a difference. And then I'm just gonna shade some areas where it should be shaded. Be careful not to put too much weight on those very delicate little spikes on his halo. I guess he's like a dragon god or something. A divine halo. Okay. That's where two-brush blending comes in real handy. For these smooth areas. Okay. And then right where right there. Some darker. And this is like turned down, so I'm just gonna kind of just shade the whole thing. It's pretty much the same. I'll go back with the red again and just highlight it, but just wanted to have a solid dark red area. Careful, don't want to use this dark color on your flesh because it's going to be really hard to fix if you overpaint. Just be careful. He's not too bad. It'll look much better once I get all the gold trim, but that's going to be a long, tedious task. Okay, let's go and fix up some of these folds too on his dress. The ink doesn't do a good job of doing a solid with the little spot. I'm just going to go back and just darken the whole area. Just a little bit. Like right there. He was only doing the creases. I wanted to do the whole area. It's right here. Just go on a downward angle. I'm just gonna deepen that whole area. And that part I missed. There we go. Same with this area. So the whole area is a little darker. And same with this part. It's kind of darkened by the guy's, I guess, waist thing. And same here. Okay. And then if I want to kind of blend it together a bit more, any parts where I've overshaded, make that red. Just be careful not to get into the where the gold would be, because you want it to have a dark border. Just give it a little bit of blend. Or I can also fix like where I've ink was a little too dominant right there. Right there, it's a thin coat. There we go. Also here, not as smooth as I like, so I'm just going to go back with a red. And it's the mid-tone kind of. Just blend the highlights and the shades together. Oh yeah, right here I was going to say I was going to do that. Just brighten it just a little bit. Just the edge. Okay, anywhere did I miss? I guess this whole area back here. Give it a base coat of dark red so I don't have to worry about that later when I do the gold halo. I think that's dark red. I don't know. It's something. I'm going to say it's dark red. Oh, yeah, his back of his hood. Get my good old friend scoring red base. It's running out. There we go. Just block it in. There's no need for shading there. We just don't want it to be like a white. Otherwise the white will just pop and ruin it. It's just blocking it in. Okay. I might even have time to do some of the black. But I've got a lot of tedious gold trim to do next time. Yeah. Alright, let's double check what black is. So a lot of black trim. I'm just going to do layering on the black. I'm not going to do any two-brush blending. Or not going to do any like shading it down. I'm just going to highlight it up. So I'm going to do black it in. I'll use the worst brush though. This brush has already been abused too much today. Okay, so he's got this black waist thing. I'm just going to have a whole bunch of gold trim on it, but I'll worry about that later. Very careful where it hits the flesh. Make sure you do a nice smooth line. I prefer doing the flesh last, but it's in such a sunken area, I kind of had to do it first. Okay. think that's gold around here. I have to double check, but I'll just black it in first. Careful not to touch that hand. Once you start doing, once you've finished a couple layers or something, like the flesh and the red, it gets a little more stressful because you don't want to ruin what you've already started or you've already painted, so it's a lot more delicate. You do his little cloak thing back here, black as well. I might do some freehand on it because it looks very boring otherwise. He has some like weird like vine patterns on his sleeves, which I probably won't do, but I'll try and do it on his back part here, just to make it a little more spiffy. And it's also a higher quality model, so I want to make it stand out. Okay. I think this is black. Oh, it's black. Oh no, it's flesh over there, isn't it? It's not. That wasn't it. Overpainted a little bit. That's fine. Just a little bit of shading before I got to the actual shading part. Okay. Very careful. Let's get in there. Let's double check where the sleeves are like. So we've got black on black sleeves. How fashionable. So it's got an inner and outer sleeve, both black. That's fine. It makes things easier. Oh, it's a little tricky on this edge. Just the bottom part. There we go. Okay. Much better with some black on it. I might even go back, put up red, and just define some more edges now, since I've clearly defined it with the black. But that's probably for another time when I go back and touch up all the red. So I might. That's probably a next stream job, next Tuesday. I think it's at 5 o'clock, 5 PST. Oh, sorry, it's 2. I was mistaken. Okay. I think that's gold right here. I'm getting dangerously close to his crotch. It's a gold little bar. Excuse me. Ugh. Okay. Oh. Thank you, Slim Pastor. Slim or slim? It's hard to see. It's kind of small on my screen right now. I should probably zoom in. Okay, so that's the majority of the black. Let's make a sandal thing black as well. If it's red, it'll just look weird. So I want to give it the harsh contrast to the black and the red here. It'll help make it pop. I have to go back and define those toes more. They're not very, they're kind of muddy, but it's for another day. Same with some of the finger creases. I'll have to go back and do that too. Alright, his main big color here is black. Just be very careful with his face. I don't want to undo some of the hard work I've done already. Let's use a better brush for this part. A little paranoid. Okay. Change up my water. Got a second handy cup here. Normally I would just throw it out and go into the washer and get new, but I don't want to get up, so I've got a second cup. I'm just gonna make sure this part's a solid black. Very important, this part. It's such flat area. It's gonna make sure it's got a solid base coat. Okay. He's got a black collar, or black choker thing too, so gotta carefully do that. Let me get on camera again. Sorry. Slowly wandering off like usual. Okay. Let's see now. Random black trim. For no reason. That's fine though. Wait, is that black trim? Oh, that is black trim. Black and gold. It's interesting. So this part is black, but the part touching his skin is gold. This part right here. I'm just going to overpaint there so I fix my problem. There you go. Just got a black trim in this area too. Okay, let's fix up his neck area. Little color. It's going to be such an annoying place to paint. So much flesh around it. One small misstep and you're gonna give him a mole or something. Okay. Gave him a little mole in the back of his head. I'm actually gonna make the whole area gold right there. He's got like a skullet thing or a circlet thing. So I'm gonna make that back part gold. So I'm not too worried about that black spot. Let's just trim up this with this border. Actually, doesn't matter because I'm going to do gold, so I'm also going to do a brown wash. It doesn't matter. Alright. It matters about this part right here, though. Yeah, it turned out fine. If I really care about that, I'll go back later. So like a black trimmer along this part as well. Okay. Okay, I think it's time for some highlighting now. I'm sure I'll find that a little better. Okay. I'm gonna black out this area. I might have to use a black wash for this. It's a little harder to get to. Oh wait. Yeah, I found a hole. There we go. Jam my brush in there. Get rid of all the white primer that I missed. Oh, be careful not touching the arm. Yeah, good enough. Let's do the same here. Make both sides even. Okay. There's no real white around there sticking out, so let's maybe start highlighting. So I'm gonna use Great Coat Gray. It's kind of a blue kind of hue to it. A very subtle blue. But it's nice to have a little bit of hue and saturation when you're doing black. Some unsaturated gray does not look interesting. So here we go. This is again a P3 color. It's a private press paint. It's non-toxic, so if you adjust it, like, for example, like brush slicking, it's not going to hurt you as much. I mean, sure, I'm sure you're not supposed to ingest it at all, but just don't do it as much. I do it a lot, so don't follow my example, but it's not that bad compared to other paints. Okay. Let's see exactly where is black and what's gold. I think that's gold. It's hard to tell in the concept. It's fine. I can just pick what I want. Whatever's easier for me or what looks better. It's mostly all gold here, so I'm gonna just leave most of it black. Don't look too muddy with all the highlighting and stuff. Just like to do a thin coat first, and you can block it out later. Except for example, like the details on his like collar. I'll have to block that out first. Can't really do anything else besides block it out. Maybe do a wash to blend it back, but okay. He's got a little bit of fold here. I'm just gonna block out because it should sit in light. So there's, I want to block out all the folds here before I do anything else. Just where the light would hit the folds. Just so I know where to blend. And then should always just do the edges a bit too. Especially on something kind of drab like this. Get a little more interesting by hitting edges with some highlights. I'll help define it because it's a black on black area, right? So you want to make it not so muddy. Oh, can't forget the back of the head. Oops. Painting off camera. Don't do that. Okay. Let's do the. Oh, I got some dried paint on my brush. Okay. So all the trim here gotta fix up. And that stupid neck choker thing, pretty hard to make look good without damaging other things. Yeah, that looks ugly. Anyway, I'll have to fix it later, after I've done the highlights and everything. Okay. So here I'm using a thicker version of it, just to pick out the details on this trim there. Just gonna give it a little bit of a highlight. Alright, let's do a bit more blending in here. And block things out. Block out the folds. Block out the edges. Help define it. And let's do a thinner coat just to blend it together. Reblock this area out again. Do the edges here. Okay, it should be dried back here, and I'm just gonna do a thin blend it together. Block out this area. It's gonna be darker up here than it would be down there. That's where light would hit it. Okay, gonna blend this up. bug in my eye or a lash in my eye. Something was hitting it. Anyway. Let's do some highlighting. So I use moral white for this. This is pure white. No saturation at all, just monochromic. It'll make it a little more blue because the white will accentuate the blue. There we go. I'm just going to basically, for the most part, just do edge highlighting. Oh, slowly going off camera. Don't do that. Kind of just going to do little streaks here, just to light would be hitting it. Also, kind of gives it the texture of cloth, with the threads and stuff. Adding a bit of texture is always good. Go back to the thicker stuff and just edge highlight. A little bit of thinner streaks along the raised areas. A little too thin to blend it here. Alright, there we go. Where it flares out, it'd be a little brighter. Okay. Blend this back together. And just along the edges here, where it hits light the most, or catch the light. Basically where the corners are, because the corners catch light the most. So the most eye-catching. All the edges here I'm going to pick out. Probably should be using a brush with a better tip, but this is fine for now. Very delicately. Don't forget the other side of the edges. Even some back lighting. Okay, here I'm going to block in where the folds would be. The lightest parts. Whoops, that was close. Don't want to bend it and break it off. So it kind of goes like that, the folds, it seems like. Just the edges and give a bit of a pop. And a little bit of streaks right here just to give it that texture. Okay. Some saliva and just start blending it in. Bringing it all together. It's so smooth here. There's no real detail to hide anything, so it's the hardest part to blend, but it just takes a little more effort and time. It'll end up fine. It's a little chunky right now, but once I get to the shading again a little better, the trick is to shade it again. Okay. Let's do some more, just almost white now. This is for just of extreme edges. So let's see, right here. It's a little too thick. Let's thin it up. And there we go. Just a little bit. Just accentuate some of those. Got a little too blobby there. Nope, too thin. A little blobby. Okay. Painting off the camera kind of sucks. Just little dots right here. Oh, I forgot sandals. Whatever. That'll be fine. I can probably do that pretty quickly. I mean, I'll just do it off stream. It's not a huge deal. Basically follows the same premise as all this other black. Okay. Let's see. Let's do some black now. I'll do some just straight black to blend the gray in, and then I'll do a little more gray just to blend it all together, blend the highlight and the black together again. So this is just straight thorough black, MR black, sorry. A very thin amount. And let's start with the on the edges of the gray. And just bring it down and darken it. It may take more than one pass, but that's fine. Thanks. Tio? Toe? Sorry. It's a little small for me. Okay. There we go. Blend that black to the gray. Looks much better. It's always better to shade down when you're doing two brush. It makes it look much more natural. But sometimes you have to bring up the brightness. What should I do? The light, the white on it. So I'm going dark, and then I'm going to go to gray to bring down all the white in some areas. Okay. This part probably need a few more passes, I gotta say. It's so big, it's hard to make it look smooth so quickly. I also might not care so much since I'm going to do like a pattern on it. Let's see. Yeah, a little chunky monkey right there. Oh well. Blend that gray down. What else haven't I shaded that much? Yeah, it's a little too bright, some of that. So, definitely have to go back with the gray. I didn't do any white on his shoulders. Let me correct that before I forget. Just a little dot right here. Just a tiny bit. Won't add a lot of detail and depth to it. Okay, let's go back with the gray and tone down some of this white. Very thin amount, just like the black I did right now. Just very thin. Because some of this is a little too bright. There we go. I'll bring down some white, make it look more natural, give more depth. Tones down the black and tones down the white in some areas. Since you're doing it thin, it'll kind of retain some of the values of both, which is what you want. Slowly wandering. Oh, sorry, guys. Okay. Not bad. I'm just going back to the black and fix a little bit of that trim. Give a little more depth. More gradient. And maybe also fix up this area right here. Give a little more depth too. Oh, overpainted on his red. Good thing I'm doing a very thin amount of black. Make that noticeable. Okay. Just toning down some of that gray on the trim. Oh, I forgot it's choker. Silly me. Okay, go do the gray. And the black on this choker. Okay, I think that's pretty good. Let's just trim up some of these edges here. Got some gold there, so I want to make sure it's got a black border. I think gold's gonna be for Tuesday. Tuesday at 2. I think it is. I'll have to double check my post where I said I was gonna do. Okay. A little bit of feathering, just to help with the texture and everything. Slowly blocking in that shade. Might be too bright, so I might just darken it a bit just because it has some gold trim to it. Help not having so much contrast in the highlights. Anyway, I think I'm very close to calling it quits for today. Think we'll be doing a raid. Somebody else will find some.
Jack of Clubs.
Alright, we're gonna try out Jack of Clubs painting. Do a little raid on him. See what he's doing. Okay. Thanks for watching, guys. Tuesday at 2. Don't miss it. And we'll finish up this guy. Okay. See you guys soon. You're gonna talk to him, right? Nice. That was okay.
Yeah. I figured out the music thing.
Okay. Thank you. I'll wash my brushes.
And it's good for YouTube too, because a lot of the problem is YouTube uses a different usable music directory than like everywhere else, so it has to be on like 3 different directories in order to be usable.
Oh. Same one as theirs? That snack can I have?
Nachos?
Okay.
Banana bread?
What?
Banana bread?
Oh, banana bread, right. Banana bread, eat banana bread. Want banana bread?
Yeah, sure. This guy's not very talkative, so I think I can just get away with sitting here. This guy's not super talkative, so. I followed him. The center watcher's there. He said hello. I said hello.
Hey, people's in the room right now.
He's got like 19.
Oh, wow. Is that pretty talkative?
I have yet to see what model he's painting. I don't know what he's working on. Something. There's the model. It's some sort of something.
That was pretty good. Let's see.
Like, see, all these people doing shit like this, they're gonna get their stuff like.
Oh, like removed?
Yeah. And then they're gonna get like their VODs like muted, and like you can't upload it on YouTube because YouTube has like really good content filters, and you can't monetize.
might be not doing it YouTube.
Tyrant's got a shit ton of followers. This was literally like the only painting channel I could jump to that didn't have like lots and lots of people watching, or like no one. This was the only in between I could find.
Yeah, it's quite soggy, I gotta say. Molly, the banana bread.
Yeah, sorry, like I couldn't cook it anymore. It was just gonna like char.
Oh.
Okay, so can I show you how to set up the music thing?
Well, aren't you gonna do it?
You have to do it on your computer while you're streaming, so I have to show you how to do it?
Can I do it in a bit? I just...
Yeah.